Thank you, Laskin Curry. You might alert me when I have 1 minute left. Laskin Curry, I'm delighted to have an opportunity to speak on this evening's motion, particularly given the vast role that my own area of Cork South West, as Deputy Harrington has quite rightly pointed out, has played a pivotal role in previous years in proving to be a successful base for commercial gas discoveries in this country. In over 40 years drilling in Ireland, we have only had 4 commercial discoveries in total. However, 3 out of these 4 discoveries were actually produced in gas fields in Kinsale. Now, this had the net effect of creating jobs for people and also had the double benefit of improving the local economy in terms of the spend and the associated benefits of generating revenue for people in the local economy in Kinsale. Now, I welcome the fact that Sinn Féin are moving this motion because it is important that we have a robust and pragmatic debate about the future of oil and gas exploration in Ireland. There is a need to increase the level of exploration, activity here in this country, and there is also a need to deepen our knowledge of the petroleum potential of the Irish offshore. However, there is also a need to be very honest and straight with people. And suggestions by the party that are moving this motion that there are vast reserves of untapped oil and gas which are potentially worth €700 billion, something which they claim justifies imposing a 50% tax on oil and gas profits, are completely out of sync with reality. Now, Sinn Féin should not be allowed to propagate this myth anymore, and that myth deserves to be contested. Their arguments are unrealistic, they're misleading, and quite frankly ignore some basic but very important facts. And those facts, Laskin Curry, include that the reality that the petroleum potential of the Irish offshore is largely unproven. Reports that Ireland has a reserve potential of 10 billion barrels of oil, in fact, relates to potential reserves only. The truth of the matter is that Ireland's proven reserves are only a fraction of 1 billion barrels. Now, actual reserves will not be known without a dramatic increase in the level of exploration drilling. The cost of exploring offshore Ireland is extremely prohibitive, and this is due to the remoteness and deep water depths of our jurisdiction. For example, to drill a single deep water well in the Atlantic can cost more than €100 million. We have limited infrastructure in terms of pipelines, terminal and platforms, which further pushes up the cost of development, which in turn adversely affects the commerciality of smaller marginal oil and gas discoveries. Now, as I have previously mentioned, Laskin Curry, there has been a mere 4 commercial discoveries in over 40 years of drilling in this country, and this compares to over 300 commercial discoveries in the UK, primarily in the North Sea. Now, Sinn Féin's tendency to pitch our circumstances against those in the UK or in Norway is as insincere an approach as you will get. It is completely out of sync with the facts of the situation and the reality. Now, already last night, in a very eloquent rebuttal of the motion, Minister Rabbitte put forward very clear and convincing explanations in terms of the rationale underpinning Ireland's tax terms for oil and gas production. By contrast, it was disconcerting to see deputies from the party who are moving this motion constantly refer to the fact that countries like Norway and the UK have a higher petroleum tax rate than Ireland has. Now, these are wholly inappropriate comparisons, and it simply does not stand up in terms of comparing like with like. They argue that a high rate of tax has not stopped Norway and the UK from being successful petroleum producers. This is not a reasonable or a logical line of argument. It is the very fact that Norway and the UK are successful petroleum producers that allows them to charge a high rate of tax. Other deputies also suggested that Ireland could draw on the experience of countries like Russia and Venezuela. If anything, drawing comparisons between Ireland and Russia or Venezuela is even more inappropriate. Russia has the world's largest reserves of natural gas, and as for Venezuela, it is over 200 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. I, like anybody else in this House, are committed to the notion of generating revenue where it is possible and putting a stop on public expenditure in terms of getting value for money. But quite frankly, Laskin Curry, if we are to follow the logic being pursued by Sinn Féin, not just in terms of their ridiculous approach about our involvement in the European Union, but also the leprechaun style of this type of motion, it does nothing but raises the hopes of people who are in very difficult circumstances in this country. All that is missing from this motion are black shoes, golden buckles and green hats because, quite frankly, it's laughable. Thank you, Laskin Corla.